The old line says, if you plant zucchini, you need to make a lot of friends. Because if you do plant zucchini, which is a relatively easy plant to grow, it is prolific. It produces all kinds of zucchinis, and now you've got more than you know what to do with. You need to pass them around to friends and neighbors, or you're going to be drowning in zucchini. And of course, there's something beautiful if you live in a community where you've got neighbors you can bring your produce to, or that they can share the berries from their yard or the apples off of their tree with one another. There's something really lovely about sharing fresh produce from the garden, almost like this is exactly what plants and humans were meant to do, to share their abundance. It is so much better if you have a bumper crop of zucchini to pass it along to as many people as possible, because there's only so much freezer space anybody has for frozen zucchini for later on into the year. In some sense, I hope that's obvious, right? If you are blessed with the gift of fresh zucchini or peaches or take your pick, it is meant to be shared with other people rather than hoarded. After all, any one of us can only eat so much of one thing. It's meant to be shared. That's at the core of biblical wisdom, that when God gives you more abundance than you can handle, the thing to do isn't to find new ways to hoard it, but to find old-fashioned classic ways of sharing it, because you can't count on that it'll be there tomorrow. You can't count on that you can always have the freezer space. You can't count on always needing or wanting more, but the neighbors around you certainly could benefit when you have abundance. Jesus tells a similar story we're going to take a look at this coming Sunday, when first somebody approaches Jesus looking for him to arbitrate between him and his brother over the family inheritance. Jesus goes, whoa, 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 who made me the judge here between the two of you? And then warns everybody listening not to get obsessed with amassing bigger and bigger piles of stuff for ourselves, because in a sense, from Jesus' vantage point, it's all zucchini. Everything is a gift placed in our hands that is meant not just for our well-being, but for sharing with other people. So he tells the story. He says, imagine there's a guy who has such an amazing bumper crop in his farm fields that he doesn't know where he's going to store all the harvest. So he decides, I know what to do. I'm going to build myself even bigger barns to store it all in. And then he gets visited by a messenger from God who says, tonight's the end of your life. Tonight they're calling for your life, and all the stuff that you've piled up, whose will it be? It's not really a threat, but it is more this reminder. You can spend your life trying to hoard as much stuff as possible, money or possessions or investments or zucchini or a harvest from farmers' field, but there's no guarantee we'll get the chance to spend it, use it, eat it, consume it, and everything in life has a shelf life. There's no point in hoarding zucchini. It's going to go bad at some point. It is so much better to trust that the God who gave you the blessing in the first place will provide your daily bread for tomorrow, so in the meantime you can share. Jesus does, after all, teach his followers to pray, dear God, not to give us, he doesn't teach us to pray, give me a lump sum of all I'm ever going to need for the next 40 years and I'll just hold on to it. He teaches us to pray, give us today our daily bread, right? Give us what we need for today. So when I have abundance, it's meant to be shared with people around me, and to trust that the same God who's given me what I need for today will give me what I need tomorrow, and my neighbors as well. It's a completely different way of living our lives than so much of what passes for success or prosperity in the world around us. So much of the world around us does assume the goal of life is to hoard as much as possible so that your pile is bigger than somebody else's, right? For a long, long time, there was that famous bumper sticker, the one who dies with the most toys wins. And Jesus reminds us, no, the one who dies with the most toys still dies. There's no point in looking to get a prize with having the most stuff or technology or money or zucchini. Rather, the goal of life is to appreciate the good gifts God puts into our hands and that God intends for us to share with neighbors around us, just like they're called to share with us as well. You know, every time I come out to the church prairie meadow here, I'm amazed at this exchange of giving and receiving. Right now, the bee balm is going gangbusters, offering up pollen so that pollinators, bees and wasps and ants and other creatures can get their food, and in turn, the honeybees produce food that we can eat and help produce other plants that can produce fruit, the tomatoes, the zucchini, the everything else. There's this constant giving away going on in your garden, in the prairie meadow, in every farmer's field. If we pay attention, we can see the whole universe, the whole world around us runs on an economy of abundance and mercy and sharing. We're the ones who've gotten screwed up, thinking that the goal of life is to hoard as much as possible for ourselves and call ourselves the winners. Jesus frees us from that mindset and instead dares us to see the gifts that are placed in our hands, especially when they are overwhelming windfall bumper crops like in his story. They're meant to be shared. Because there is such abundance, there's enough for everybody. If you plant zucchini, make a lot of friends, you're going to need to share them. If God places abundance in your life, it's worth opening your eyes to see who are the people who could benefit from the good things God has placed in your hands, and to trust that there's enough to go around for all of us. That's the conversation we're having this Sunday. Join us then. See ya.